You can look at a derelict shell of a commercial building and project millions in untapped upside once it's transformed into a modern housing complex. But chasing that projected return on a spreadsheet is a trap. If you fail to rigorously underwrite the downside risk across the complete asset lifecycle first, a single oversight will wipe out your entire capital investment. Traditional commercial real estate brokers actively compound this risk. They operate almost exclusively on transaction commissions, meaning they get paid the moment a deal closes, regardless of whether the project actually succeeds or fails during execution. To survive complex adaptive reuse acquisitions, active buyers have to abandon commission-driven brokers. You need a fiduciary-first framework that protects your baseline before you ever sign a contract. Chapter 1. The Kill Criteria. Professional developers and family offices protect their capital by using strict buy-side underwriting as a defensive shield. This stress test model shows how we attack the operating assumptions of a deal, striking the baseline with hostile market variables like anticipated cap rate shifts and aggressive debt equity mechanics. We are specifically hunting for the kill criteria. These are the undeniable, deal-breaking facts, like hidden structural obsolescence or rigid entitlement barriers that make a project impossible to execute. Isolating these facts early prevents you from misallocating due diligence capital. You identify the dead ends and walk away before the real expenses begin. Chapter 2. The Adaptive Reuse Math. Once the unviable deals are eliminated, the focus turns to the specialized underwriting required for complex adaptive reuse projects throughout Ohio. Take distressed or underperforming hotels as a prime example. Converting these properties into workforce or senior housing requires completely remapping the floor plan into a viable, larger residential unit mix. That conversion math only works if you first conduct a deep dive audit of the rigid life safety codes and local preservation constraints. When analyzing historic structures, the priority is differentiating the subjective heritage value of a property from its actual monetizable value. Former banks frequently offer this balance, combining highly desirable architecture with central locations to create immense upside. Old schools and storefronts represent another distinct asset class, provided their specific locations align perfectly with local demand drivers. And large-scale industrial assets only succeed when they are anchored by verifiable anchors, like medical centers, transit hubs, and walkable downtown corridors. Mastering the feasibility math behind these rigid constraints transforms abstract acquisition numbers into a practical, step-by-step repositioning roadmap. Chapter 3 focuses on the exit architecture. Acquiring and acquiring a building is a massive liability if you don't have a precise plan for who will buy it from you. A property's final transaction value is actually determined during the acquisition positioning phase, long before it ever hits the market. We conduct sale readiness audits to identify operational drag, physical deficiencies, and due diligence hurdles prior to any buyer exposure. This decision tree evaluates the financial divergence between choosing to offload the asset as is versus executing targeted capital improvements. Looking at this repositioning chart, taking the improvement route requires stress testing every capital expenditure against anticipated cap rate shifts and net exit proceeds. From there, the optimized asset is matched directly with specialized regional and institutional capital pools, bypassing generic buyers entirely. By defining target hold periods, likely sale friction points, and stabilized net operating income thresholds before closing, you architect a seamless exit strategy. Commercial real estate does not require you to gamble your equity alongside commission-hungry brokers. PRI Consulting operates on a completely transparent, flat fee or monthly retainer structure. This guarantees independent, objective analysis. There are no transaction-driven conflicts of interest pushing you to close a flawed deal. You get end-to-end execution clarity, carrying a complex adaptive reuse project from the initial blueprint all the way to a stabilized, buyer-ready asset. True capital preservation requires a fiduciary partner who secures your downside first, allowing the math to dictate your success in the market.